We've talked about business a lot, but as I said, without health, nothing matters. And Mr. Ashish Kaushik is a sports physiotherapist with over 20 years of experience in managing elite athletes, as I mentioned. And I am fascinated by reading this, that he has a holistic way of assessing and treating sports people by amalgamating techniques from Maitland, McKinsey, Syriacs, and Pilates. So it's amazing, Ashish. We really want to know more about this and about YOS. So please.
Sorry. Thank you. So let me start first by thanking Mr. Suresh. Thank you for having me here. I've really thoroughly enjoyed the evening so far, and I've those two presentations, Mr. Surup and Mr. Gaur, brilliant. I mean, that's so much learning. I've made so many notes for myself because so much personal learning from all the anecdotes and the stories. So while I leave that little show-off slide of mine up there for you guys to watch, it's been my sort of 23 years of work in musculoskeletal health, and I will then now expose that concept of musculoskeletal health to you. And to be honest, I wasn't entirely sure how to pitch, where to pitch this presentation. So we will make a lot of it interactive. And we'll perhaps start with a little bit of interaction straight away can I have a show of hands for all those people who've suffered some sort of musculoskeletal health condition over the last 12 months. So over the last 12 months, if you've had neck pain, back pain, shoulder, knee, how many of us? I was not expecting this. I was thinking maybe 50%, but this is maybe about 70%. And the rest of them are distracted, otherwise it would have been 100%, I think. So, and how many of you continue to have one of these conditions? How many of you continue? Really? Okay, so that's come down to about 30% now. Okay, maybe the rest of you are feeling a little ashamed of admitting that you're still in pain. So here are the WHO numbers. So we know that, I know now that you're fascinated by numbers and driven by numbers, as fairly so, we should all be. So we'll talk numbers. Musculoskeletal health, by definition, is muscle skeletons that make your body function, make your body move. And the reason it's now being classed as a separate module of health is because, traditionally speaking, ages ago, health was looked at as a combination of making people well by giving them something to eat or drink, as well as parallelly, there was always a system in pretty much all civilizations. There was also a parallel system which was looking after your physical state. So allowing you to function, and that was musculoskeletal health. So yoga, capoeira, tai chi, all these were musculoskeletal health, looking after processes that have carried on for ages. But of course, with the advent of modernization, industrial revolution, pharmaceutical companies, the more organized sectors went into, and rightly so, fighting off infections, which at the time were the biggest problems that we were facing in health. So that got done, and then as we kept fighting off infection, and we actually came out a fair winner in getting rid of a lot of those communicable diseases that were affecting us through vaccines, antibiotics, other drugs. We didn't realize when we were stepping into this other phase of our struggle, which was lifestyle conditions. So as modernization happened, we moved from fighting communicable infectious diseases to now lifestyle diseases. So lifestyle diseases also got addressed in the same way that communicable diseases were being addressed through the pharmaceutical industry. However, that need not be the case. So when chemistry was still being, the modern side of chemistry was still being developed, everybody wanted to create an experiment and make gold, right? The earlier chemists wanted to make gold. They wanted to find a way of converting another element into gold. So that's a little bit of my obsession as well. I am trying to figure out a certain module of health that can have the most profound effect on your overall health and fitness. And musculoskeletal health is that module of health that will have a profound effect on every other aspect of health. And you can take it as far out as mental health, social health, emotional health, and the health of your internal organs, which is what the lifestyle conditions and the lifestyle diseases are affecting us through. So WHO, thanks. So this is the recent most study by the WHO where they are talking about 1.71 billion people on this planet currently affected by musculoskeletal health condition needing help. These are not just people who are happy to function in pain. These are actually people needing help now. By 18% of the human race needs help to function. We are designed as the most beautiful machine that can ever be designed, and we need help to function. And another very sorry figure to put up there is that this number gets more and more skewed for worse as and when we start looking into the vulnerable pockets of our population. So this is an Indian study published in June, which talks about nearly 56% of students aged 8 to 15 suffering from low back pain. When they were interviewed, and this is a large sample size, they interviewed them and they found that nearly 56% of them suffered from back pain in the prior 12 months. So we did that little sample here, and we thought this is an urban problem and of a certain age group. It's not. It goes beyond what we can even imagine. Sorry, you're going to have to be my helper. This is another Indian study published in the February of this year, which talks about 59% of sedentary workers complaining of spinal or joint pains, same as you guys have done. The definition of a sedentary worker here was anybody who spends 4 hours sitting down, which by definition makes pretty much any city dweller a sedentary worker. You spend 2-3 hours in traffic, you spend a minimum of 3 or 4 hours at work, so we're all sedentary workers. Anybody who's had a spinal condition, anybody who's had low back pain in the past? Okay. So okay, I got you as well. I'll ask you a very simple thing, and we'll just have a little discussion about what information you have about your back pain, how you think, how you perceive it, and whether you've understood how to prevent it in future. So one of the most common conditions in affecting low back pain are disky pathologies. So we would have all come across this term, disc slips, disky pathologies, sciatica, pain down the leg, pain in the hip. How many of those of us, I think about 20-25 of you said you've had low back pain. How many of you found that this condition affected you for the first time in the morning? Was it in the morning? Was it in the morning? In the morning? Morning? Okay. Morning. Most clients most patients who come to us complain of having had their first experience of low back pain in the morning. And I'll tell you why I'm harping on about it a little bit, because there's such a beautiful scientific explanation for this. We are the tallest in the morning. Did we know that? We know we're the tallest in the morning. We know why that is, right? Because the discs, and there are 23 of them in the human body, the discs absorb fluid, imbibe fluid overnight, and get bigger and fatter. So when you get up in the morning, those discs are bigger, and hence you're taller. As you get through the day, the pounding on your spine makes those discs release the excess fluid, and hence by evening they've desiccated and come back to their normal size, and hence by evening you're a little shorter than you were in the morning. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because when you get up in the morning and those big fat discs are sitting there, they're a little wobbly. And in that situation, when you put excessive pressure on them, when there is axial loading with forward bending and rotation, that's when your back can seize up. That's when your muscles stop you from doing anything any more stupid and arrest that movement and ensure that you get locked there, lie down, let that spasm get out. So your body is trying to protect you from putting undue pressure on your discs, and hence save all the sensitive structures around your discs, which may hurt you even more. Where has this been applied? This has been applied in factories, in anywhere where lifting and manual handling is involved, and the processes have been set up in factories in a manner that all the lifting and manual handling happens post 11 o'clock in a lot of factories in the UK and Europe. And that's how the back care model has been developed and implemented very well in workplaces. So musculoskeletal health has actually become a hindrance in productivity, and there have been solutions, very simple ones in that, around it, which have been implemented in that manner. So just a little story to... the other findings of WHO have been... I'm actually a little uncomfortable. I'm not used to jackets at all. We walk around in t-shirts and shorts. So I'm just going to take it off. Heart conditions are the number one killer, which is the one thing that every heart condition sufferer will get told. Exercise. Exercise. We are living longer. So this study looked at human health between the year 2000 and 2019. So 20 years, 2 decades of research led to these outcomes. So we're living longer. What are we living longer for? So what's the plan here? Is the grand plan to get out of your electric cars, get into your electric wheelchairs, move into your electric bed, and ask Siri and Alexa to draw the curtains and shut the doors? What's the plan? Or is the plan to continue to function, move, and enjoy life in a manner that your human body is designed to? So if that's the plan, then musculoskeletal health needs to be looked after. Musculoskeletal health is the keyword and the buzzword for us. There is a global decline in deaths from communicable diseases, so, and hence that reflects very well in all the medical grants that are being issued to institutes all across the world. These grants have moved into finding solutions for back care, finding solutions to knee pain, shoulder pains, musculoskeletal conditions, and not so much communicable conditions, which is a little ironic because we've just come out of COVID-19, which was clearly a communicable disease, but event that couldn't have been predicted. We still can't predict it. We don't know when the next one's going to happen. But this is something which is in our control, in our hand. We can make it work. In 2007, The American College of Sports Medicine came up with this beautiful tagline, and they said, exercise is medicine. Problem here is that unlike popping a paracetamol or any other drug, this statement has a condition. And the condition is that you have to be musculoskeletally, basically fit to be able to exercise. So I might have picked up a sport to get fit, but what if I'm not fit for the sport? The number of clients that we see who started a sport because they thought they wanted to lose a bit of weight, they wanted to get active, they wanted to start, leading a fitter life, but then got injured within the first few days, if not the first few weeks, and were right back where they started, or even worse, because they weren't fit for it. So exercise is a medicine, but are you fit to exercise? And then if you're not, how do you address that? Prerequisite is having musculoskeletal health of a manner which allows you to exercise, which allows you to explore and push the boundaries of human movement. That's my fascination. My fascination is with how the body moves and how it moves in a manner that we are able to achieve amazing feats with our movement. What's next, please? So health and happiness goes hand in hand. These are the 4 chemicals in our body which keep us happy, right? Guess which one activity will help you release all 4 of them? Exercise. Exercise. That wasn't a tough question. You thought it was a trick question. Endorphin release through exercise and through soft tissue manipulation, massages. Dopamine through completing a task. And that task is of you setting yourself a goal. I'm going to run 3 kilometers. You finish that goal, shot of dopamine. Serotonin, mood lifter. Any aerobic exercise, a little jog around the park, gives you a shot of serotonin. Oxytocin. Suresh introduced me to a lot of his tennis mates. And there was such camaraderie in that. I beat him and he beat him, and we all played together. Oxytocin, the love hormone, right? That binds us all together. And that is the formula of happiness, chemically speaking. These are the chemicals that help us stay happy. So you talk about health, exercise, happiness, exercise, and the economy is doing well. We can stay happy. Job done. Next. So the epitome. So when I understood musculoskeletal health early on in my career, I then started chasing musculoskeletal health in a manner that I could continue to challenge my skills in restoring musculoskeletal health in the most complex conditions. And those conditions are sports. So who challenges themselves and pushes the boundaries more than a sports person? Nobody, right? That's a sports person. So if you can solve a problem in sport, clearly everything else only gets easier. So that's where we started, or I started, spent many years, and I wish I could claim and take the credit of being a very dedicated worker with not so much remuneration. I actually got paid a lot of money to look after 3 dozen athletes over the last few years. That was my job. My job was to look after the top cricketers in this country and get paid a lot of money for that. Until the time that I realized that if this is possible with someone who puts their body online every single day, how is it not possible to implement the same processes? So then the problem is the processes. So the same processes should be able to help the 1.7 billion people out there. So went out with that question, set up a little model, wondering why is it that Virat is able to get through the spasm in his back, get back in the gym, and get back out there in the park in 3 weeks' time, and you still can't do it. The reason is he's got access to me and you don't. That's the difference. He's got access to me, and me as in me and my fraternity. He's got access to the best sports health specialist, and you don't. What if that access was created? And we'd still have to deal with motivation and compliance, but at least the choice is there, the option's there, right? This person is a non-athlete. This is the MRI of a non-athlete on your left. On your right is the MRI of an athlete. Very, very similar conditions, very different outcomes. So the athlete was looked after by us, was back running, jumping, doing whatever they wanted to do in about 2.5 weeks' time, less than 3 weeks. And this person struggled for months before they came to us and were then put on a path to recovery. Why? There was no reason whatsoever. The only reason was, again, those processes which one person had access to and the other person didn't. So when we were mulling over this and we were trying to figure out, what can be done about it and whether it's even then financially viable and everything else that I've learned today, could this be a solution which could also be a business? And could we make this work, was the question. And with that quest, I tried to put a team together to then figure out what if we created the same team and the same environment for a regular person that we would create for the Indian cricket team or the Indian football team or the Indian hockey team. And the three of us came together. Dr. Srikant Narayan Swamy is a sports medicine specialist and a sports radiologist. Rahul Patwardhan is a sports scientist. So sports science, sports physio, sports massage, sports medicine, and musculoskeletal radiology. These were the professions put together, and we came up with YOS. YOS, which is Sanskrit for health and happiness, it's actually a little anglicized. It's YOS, but it's getting to be pronounced as YOS, which we don't mind. It's Sanskrit for health and happiness, and the idea is to create a service which delivers musculoskeletal health outcomes the same as we would deliver them for an athlete. So you are then automatically elevated to the state of an athlete and have access to a service that an athlete would have access to, and hence the outcomes would then be the same as that of an athlete. These are the departments that you would have access to, and the best part is that the decision making is taken off you. So Virat doesn't walk in and say, let me now meet my physio and then I will go meet my SNC and I will then go have a massage. He just rocks up. He just rocks up to a place and the place looks after him. And that's what we've done. So you rock up to yours and you say, my knee is hurting. That's all you have to say. And then from there, a carefully curated patient pathway takes over, and that patient pathway moves you through the system, all the time the attention being to deliver a desired outcome. That's the objective. So the performance design of human body is what we understand extremely well, right? Because we've worked in those environments and we've delivered in those environments. And the difference that we found through our research and understanding was the lack of assessments. So all physio exercises, all strength and conditioning exercises are nothing that are not already being done in a lot of other areas, be it yoga, be it capoeira, be it tai chi, be it anywhere else. But where are the assessments? How do you know where you stand? Anybody had a knee condition that they've suffered from? A knee condition? Sir, what was the exercise given to you, if I may ask? For the knee? Did they give you an exercise? Yeah. Was this one of the exercises? Was this one of the exercises? The knee is supported by two major group of muscles, the quadriceps and the hamstrings. To have a protective effect, they must function in a certain ratio, is what research has shown us. That ratio is 3:2. 3:2. Most of the times, your quadriceps or the muscle in the front of your thigh is only switched off because of pain. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not weak. It's naturally stronger than the hamstrings. However, it's actually working harder than it should, is why your kneecap is constantly banging into your femur, your thigh bone. And what you need to do, sir, is to actually work on your hamstrings. But there is this auto mode that we're all functioning on, where there are a certain set of exercises prescribed in certain conditions without an assessment in place. There are no assessments in place. So nobody bothers to look at the actual strength of the muscle. Nobody bothers to look at why you should be exercising a certain group of muscle, where actually the exact opposite group of muscle is far weaker. And the ratio will never be achieved because you're doing something that you're not required to do. And why should there be so many exercises? If I need to target a group of muscles, I need one exercise. Time efficiency, if not achieved, is the biggest problem that keeps you non-compliant. The problem in musculoskeletal health that we are trying to solve is that you, sir, can make me look great, or you can also make me look stupid. Because I have given you the program, but the program is so elaborate and perhaps non-specific that you fall off it, you don't do it, and then I am ineffective. That's the problem that we're trying to solve through accurate, precise assessments, which will then deliver. So anybody who's had knee conditions, please do focus on your hamstrings, your calf, and your hip muscles, mobility, as well as strength. Movement, ultimately that's what we need to achieve, right? It is not a solution to not go up and down the stairs. It's not a solution to not walk. It's not a solution. Please stop accepting these solutions. And please stop being a party to these solutions. That's not a solution. There has to be a solution. Demand for a solution. I have never come across an athlete who's come to me and said, yeah, it's okay, see if you can fix it, otherwise I'll retire. That never happens. At age 38, they'll still be fighting with us and saying, I need to get back. Whether I go back or not is my choice, but you make sure that I can go back if I want to. And that's the attitude with which they're able to continue for as long as they do. Our body really knows no limits. Ultimately, it's generation of power and a sequence in which our body moves to generate that power, which is the art and the science of it. This is what we've done so far. So far, we've looked after about 5,000 clients, and we've done about 25,000 sessions. We're sitting on tons of data. We're constantly analyzing this data. We're constantly figuring out ways of helping you get there quicker every time. This is what we're doing at the moment. So everything in orange has already been done. So we have YOS centers. YOS is available online. So we can help you. We can assess you online. Of course, there are limitations because your practitioner will not be able to touch you. Your practitioner will not be able to apply certain technology on you. But the advice is available online. There is YOS Corporate, where we're getting into offices, workplaces, and helping people address musculoskeletal health. So, statistics again for you. 2% was the usage of defined health spaces like meditation halls, yoga halls, gymnasiums. 2% was the utility. 2% of that office employees were using that space. 5% was the best case scenario. We managed to drive this up to 26%. There is 26% engagement where we are running the programs because it's not the machines that will get you fit, it's the programs that will get you fit. And those programs have to be customized, individualized, based on where you're at, what you need to do, and where you want to be. Sorry, just go back one. The most important bit I obviously missed, YOS app. So we've now figured that if you were to really adhere to the processes, it is actually possible to use your data which you're collecting through your Aura rings, through your Fitbits, through your Garmins, through your iWatches, and collect your data, which you will willfully share with us and not sneak up upon you, and help you help yourself without actually a practitioner having to decipher that data for you. So we are now in the process of creating these automated and semi-automated processes which will help you help yourself through an app which we're hoping to launch next year. So who are we working for and working with? We're working with individuals, we're working with corporates, we're working with sports academies, we're working with schools and colleges, because that's where we see musculoskeletal health modules needing help. Research and development, education programs with universities, we are huge on this. We believe that there is still a lot of research and development to be done, and this research and development can only be done. We cannot suddenly become an R&D institute. We want to partner with other institutes which are already doing it as a part of their jobs. So we are now tying up with Indian universities and international universities to find solutions which are innovative and time efficient. Some of our clients, and that's it. So there's a cheesy tagline at the end of it. You play better when we play together. Okay, so I'm not sure if that was paced at the right level or not, but I will happily interact with you if you have any questions, if time allows. Is that okay? Yes, ma'am. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I will convey the message. Yeah. You can? Now she be asking.
Thank you. Okay, but it was really nice, and it really gives us a sense of, so I'm a doctor myself, but I have also believed in musculoskeletal health always, since every organ of your body is actually a muscle, right from your heart to your liver and everything. So yes, it makes so much sense. However, we would like to know that how, so I was just talking, how because I believe that most of your athletes have turned vegan, a lot of them who are also rooting for their musculoskeletal health. I mean, I've always wanted to understand how this helps in the musculoskeletal health, or if it does.
So I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not qualified to answer that, but I will tell you so much that in my 2.5 decades of spending a lot of time with these people, dietary choices can be managed if you want to manage them in a manner that it doesn't deteriorate your health. They can be managed. There are enough supplements.
My question was, has it helped the musculoskeletal health by making a dietary change?
So I can't say that a vegetarian is faster or stronger than a non-vegetarian. Equally, I cannot say that a non-vegetarian is faster and stronger than a vegetarian. It's a choice that people make, and at the highest level, they are being able to sustain those choices with the help of the expertise they've got around them.
Thank you.
That's it. From a house full of aches and pains. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Google up YOS. Google up YOS.
So I wanted to ask you,
Yes.
given your 20 years of experience, what will it take for physiotherapy to become proactive and not reactive? A lot of sporting careers would not end because of an injury, and a lot of people sitting here or outside will not accept pain as a part of the life and stop doing things. So that is only possible, I feel, if physiotherapy is promoted as a proactive measure. Normally what happens is something happens, you go to a therapist, you take a session. If you are doing about okay, you will do once or twice and then go back to normal.
That's exactly why, that's a fantastic point. That's exactly why we're not projecting YOS, and it isn't physiotherapy. It's a combination of medicine, physio, strength and conditioning, sports science, sports massage, because when you are pain-free, there is something you need to graduate up to. And then when you're there, that's when the circle moves, that's when the cycle moves, that's when you complete the loop. And when you talk about being proactive, actually, there is so much available to athletes now that we're being able to predict with 71% accuracy a certain knee condition that can be career-threatening. 71% accuracy. That accuracy 5 years ago was 6%. So that's how quick the technology is moving, but our obsession is with rolling that technology out to everybody. Why should I only predict the health of an athlete? Why should that same health not be predicted for you? Because you want to enjoy the movements of your body as much as an athlete. Yeah, it's a job for them, but nonetheless equally useful for you. But yeah, thank you for that.
Hi.
Hi.
Ashish, you spoke about, I really actually like that line, exercise is medicine, right?
Not my line,
where,
thanks.
Yeah, but it was nice. Where I think the idea is we are all advocating is for people to get moving, right? And therefore prevent injuries and related symptoms, right? But what I realized, and there are a bunch of us who are quite active, what I have realized is it's the active ones that seem to be more prone to injury, right?
Exactly.
So what's the holy grail? Where's the pixie dust? I just need to understand that, right?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I said, right? That sometimes you'll pick up a sport, you'll randomly, if you've been not so active for a certain amount of time, do you think you can randomly get into an activity? And do you think that's a fair thing to do? And can it be structured better at the back of assessments which guides you through the process, not to become your crutch forever, but to guide you through the first few steps until the time you're then independently active at that level?
No, Ashish, I think maybe I wasn't able to explain what I was asking. What I was asking is that it's the active ones, right, that seem to be getting injured, right? They're more prone to injury simply because, here I am cycling and running and squatting and weightlifting, and you get it. And we're doing all of that. And I know that in the last 25 years of me working out, I must have at different points of time injured different parts of my body, right? So vis-a-vis so many other people that I know, I may be fitter or I may appear to be fitter than a lot of them, but I know that they have not gone through the kind of injuries I have, right? Where you're saying that if exercise is medicine, they don't need it because they're not hurting. We are.
Look, if you're happy to be a couch potato and if you're happy to have a...
Huh? I'm just trying to understand that where does that... Where's the pixie dust? What is the holy grail here? Right? What's the right mix?
How much is too much is probably.
Yeah, so if moderation is what you're talking about, and if choice of exercise you're talking about is what you're talking about, then yes, the lady there mentioned proactiveness. The same proactiveness that you show towards your exercise regime and the same loyalty that you show towards your sport, perhaps is also the loyalty that needs to be shown to have yourself regularly assessed, to see when you need. So there is something called acute to chronic workload ratios, which means that your week-on-week workloads, your month-on-month workloads shouldn't create a spike of a certain ratio beyond which your proneness to injuries goes up many folds.
So I get that, right? So that means you're basically saying get yourself assessed so that you prevention, right? You can identify and maybe prevent whatever injury. What about those who are not doing anything? That they're not getting injured, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think we should call it a
Sure.
night.
Thanks a lot. Sorry.
Thank you very much for all the questions and the wonderful talk, Ashish.
Thank you.
And as Mr. Swaroop just suggested, we can continue this conversation over wine and dinner, which we are waiting for, and dinner is waiting for us. But before you go, just a